What's up, y'all? It's your girl, Ashley L. of I'm the Mama podcast, where we discuss the ins, the outs, and everything in between of being a mom. So today, well, before we get started, y'all know I always have to give a shout out. And to me, this one is a little bit special, and I'll explain why in a moment. But I want to give a shout out to all you mamas out there, learning how to balance everything that you have going on in life. I mean, me personally, I only have one, and it's not easy, even though I feel like a lot of us make it look easy. It's not easy. So I definitely wanted to take out the time just to give you your kudos, let you know that you are doing it. You the ish, whether you hear that or not, you're really doing things, and you're appreciated. And overall, again, in case if you don't hear it enough, just know, keep doing what you're doing. Your child definitely recognizes it. I'm sure the other ones and everyone else is recognizing it, but I wanted to give my kudos to you. And so the reason what brought this particular, shout out about is this past weekend, I'm joined by my wonderful friend Mo here. And recently, we just actually celebrated her 34th birthday. Okay. And it was great to be able to surprise her, just having a wonderful ladies sleepover. And it was just a great opportunity to step away for a moment. And so it allowed us as moms, most of us were moms, it just allowed us to have time to ourselves. Self-care is very, very important. And so had so much fun. We did karaoke, uncontrollable laughter. I mean, junk food galore, facials. Like, we just had a really great time and made some great memories. But I do remember just kind of talking to some of the ladies, and all of us just kind of agreed, even though we were coming together to celebrate Mo, it was a much needed time for us all, because we really haven't had a chance to kind of step away and have some time to ourselves. So with the hustle and bustle of life, again, we doing the daggone thing. And so I just want to give those praises to you all. But speaking of, having much needed time, that kind of goes into our discussion for today. We're going to be talking about how to balance relationships when you have multiple kids and why it's important to do so. So within last episode, if you tuned in, we talked about the fact how some people perceive, mother bonds being too attached. Again, still trying to figure out what too attached really is. But, my biggest thing that I think about, because I do understand, like, I spend a lot of time with my son, we kind of have our own little routine and our groove, and it's great. And then thinking about having another one, it's like, ooh, that will take my time away from being or my son. And, it'll also, will I have to spend more time and less time with him, and daddy kind of step in? So it's a lot of different things that's going on in my mind. So we are going to be talking to Mo about it. Again, I find myself just very involved, enjoying my time with my son. And so I just want to be able to kind of pick your brain a little bit, Mo. She's a mother of three, a beautiful mom. And again, like I mentioned earlier, when I said doing a daggone thing, I mean doing it. And so without further ado, I want you to be able to take a time to introduce yourself and your lovely family, before we kind of hop into some questions about how you're balancing your motherhood.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for this invite. It is always a pleasure to join and to just talk about motherhood and the joys, the challenges, the ups and downs and all of that. So just thank you for inviting me to your show and being a part of this platform. Hi, you guys. I am Monique Smith, and I am a mother of three. I have three boys. They're all boys. I have a 15-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a soon-to-be 1-year-old in the next couple of weeks. I am married, but I totally know how it feels to be a single mom, a mom of multiples. It's kind of interesting to just be able to even compare how life was being just a single mom versus being a mom with, a not united front and having a husband. My 15-year-old is from a previous relationship, and then my younger two are with my husband. But it's a roller coaster at my house on a regular basis. Boys are fun, boys are rowdy, how you think it's going to be doesn't always, end up being that way. I could sit here and probably go into so many different avenues with this conversation, but I'll try to stay on track. But it's fun. It's exciting. I love it. I love being a boy mom specifically, but it does have its challenges, but there's so many joyful moments as well. So
So we
it's
definitely
a good
gonna
balance.
touch on those challenging moments because that's definitely one of my questions. But again, to me, you are a super mom as I watch you just do your thing with all three, as well as the family as a whole. So let's go ahead and start this discussion off. With like what was your initial thoughts? Of course, you have a 15-year-old and then the 5-year-old came next. What was your initial thoughts when becoming a mom of multiples?
Oh man, I remember it like yesterday, like being pregnant with my 5-year-old when my son was 9. They're like 9.5, almost 10 years exactly apart. But I just remember thinking, there's no way I can love another human being as much as I love my oldest. And I remember just asking my mom and other people, like, you gotta have a favorite, right? Like there's gotta be one that you love more. Like I can't see it being evenly distributed and just having so much anxiety about like this, this pregnancy was so different or this is my baby. I can't imagine, loving another baby. And as soon as my 5-year-old came, it was like the same love and joy that you feel with the first one and even with the third one. Um, you find space in your heart to love them all equally differently, but the same love that you have for the first is the same love that you have for the second and the third. It's just I think that, they're in different stages of life. So things could be, that can play a part in terms of, the joy and the happiness. You can imagine a preteen or a teenager. It could be a lot more difficult at times than a newborn baby, who doesn't have an opinion, who's not going to talk back, who's not going to say much, who's not as rambunctious as a 5-year-old, who's jumping off the ceiling and, doing all the craziness. So, um, yeah, but the joy, the love, it's like you're having them same feelings again that you initially had.
Yeah, and I know like even for myself, just currently having one, that is something that kind of, you know, like you mentioned, it's just kind of a moment that takes place. Like you're eager and you want, I know my husband and I, we want multiple kids, but then it's just kind of like, ooh, but wait, I'm so enjoying this one-on-one time. Like he's
Mhm.
getting all of me right now. And so how will I be able to share? And I'm tired with him. So I can't
Right.
even imagine bringing somebody else in the picture, trying to give them some energy because I barely have any left by the end of the day. But like you said, I do agree. It's kind of like when it actually takes place, we just have more and more and more of ourselves to give. And so I definitely agree with that. So we'll see. We'll see if that ever takes place for me. But so my next question is, what are some of your favorite things, about being a mom of multiple kids?
Yeah, I mean, I think finding out like their interests, right? Like everyone is different. My oldest, you could not have told me that he was not gonna be an athlete. Like I just knew that, by the time he got to high school or got to middle school, that we would be doing, all these athletic things, and that's just not his personality at all. And just finding joy in the things that make them unique and trying to tap into that and just creating a space for them to be themselves and for
Mm.
you to enjoy who they are, and who they are now and who they're eventually going to evolve into. um I think it's just having fun with all of them, right? I think they all kind of play off each other. I think just having multiples, just seeing like the developmental stages,
Mhm.
having a soon to be 1-year-old, he's walking and developing, and I think he's trying to catch up to his brothers. He sees them playing and he's like, well, what are they doing over there? Let me crawl over here. Let me pull up on something to get in the action. He wants in on all the action. And then just even seeing my 15-year-old kind of take that leadership role as, he has younger siblings and it's like, no, what did mom say? Or just seeing those different characteristics kind of just come out is a joy to watch. Like it's just, they're all little humans and we're here to just kind of create a safe space and to cultivate their character and just let it play out. And it's a beautiful, I think the best part is just the journey of just watching it all unravel in a good way. It's
No, that's
it's
that's
very special.
beautiful and definitely well said because I like what you said regarding letting them be them. I feel like sometimes, as parents, which this is another topic for another day, but sometimes parents try to press upon what they want their child to be or what they see them starting off as. Like, to me, one of the biggest ones is sports with a son, getting them involved, and then you allowing him to step away from that. You could have been that parent to be like, no, you're going to play sports, and then kept him in it, but you're allowing him to really flourish in how his own being, allowing him to, find his own thing. And sports just wasn't it, but you're seeing other things in him, as well as just, again, with all of them in general. I think it's wonderful recognizing that they are different. Even though they came from you, they are different. And as they continue to grow, they will be different. And that's okay.
Absolutely.
And to identify with each one of them, learn more about them. Like, that's awesome. That's awesome. So noted, noted, noted.
Or even just trying to replicate things. Like with my oldest, we were really big on movies. I was a single mom. We didn't have cable and all the extra deluxe things. So we used to just watch the same DVDs over and over, and
Mm,
it just created really special memories that, there's only so much that you remember from childhood on those early, early ages. And one of the things that we just share that just kind of bonded us is just our love for Marvel.
mm,
And trying to recreate that with my 5-year-old, he does not care at all. And so it's like, okay, well, we got to find a different way to connect because he's not
yeah.
going to sit down and enjoy the movie time that me and my older one will. So just, I think even that, the journey of just finding out, okay, how can I bond? How can I create memories that aren't necessarily replicated, that are just kind of, organic
Yeah.
and whatnot. So, it's
Yep.
just interesting.
I mean, it's the same kind of effort that, to me, it's the same effort we put into, when it comes to having a actual companionship or, friendships and things like that. You put time, you put effort, you learn, you cultivate it, you nourish it, and eventually it'll continue to grow if you do those things. So, it sounds like it's very similar, other than the aspect of you're literally, growing with them for because they came from you. Um,
Right.
and so again, it's just, even with that pointed out, just understanding that, hey, there may be things that we, as all of my kids, we all share together, but also recognizing the differences between the two. So that kind of brings me to my next question. You know, what are some challenges that you say that you face with having multiple kids?
I would say time, just
Mm,
like you said earlier, just kind of allocating their own individual time. I'm really big on that, and I try to make sure that they all have their own time with me, or even with my husband, just carving out time to be like, hey, that's something that, we're gonna do together, or and it can be something small because there's not a lot of time in the day. After work, you got dinner,
yeah.
extracurricular activities, baths, bedtime, and so it can be something. I want to say last week it was me just running to the store and it's like, hey, to my 5-year-old, come hop in the car with me and tell me about your
Mm,
day, and it's just gonna be me, you, my 15-year-old doesn't want to hang out with me as much as he used to, and my baby, my 1-year-old. It's just creating that time where it's like, okay, this is a good opportunity for us to just hang out with just the two of us. Or the other day, my older one, maybe a couple weeks ago, actually, he left his wallet at the movie theaters, and a
mm,
time when him and my husband and the boys just went off to go see a movie that I didn't go to. And so he and I saw the little photo booth at the movie theaters, and it's like, hey, let's take some pictures really quick, and
aw,
printing them out, bringing them home. It's just, just the special moments where it doesn't have to be an elaborate date that's planned in advance. It could be really impromptu sometimes. And so just take advantage of moments where it's just okay, be intentional. When was the last time I spent some one-on-one
yes.
time with them? Or if it's at home, hey, let me just read a book with my 5-year-old because it's been a minute since I got, a download on how his day, his week has been. Just creating those spaces to just be intentional and spend that time is, I think, really important.
And it's great that you even, it sounds like daily are at least still trying to find out how their day is. I remember growing up, my parents, Like, you're not walking in the house or you're not getting in the car without telling me how your day was. You're not just going to sit in and be like, good. Like, no, they want to hear how it was. What did you do? What did you eat? Like, elaborate on something. And so now that I'm older, I really appreciate that because I see the importance of that, especially
Absolutely.
as I became a teenager. Things got really short with my parents. It was just more so like, I don't really want to talk to y'all right now. And I think that's just that teen phase that you go through. But yeah, them consistently like pulling it out of me, even if that was the only thing we really, really talked about that day, just to kind of check in. And like I said, now that I'm older, I understand why they did it, especially with everything. I can't even imagine, you know, everything that these kids are going through nowadays. So it is important to do those check-ins and just kind of trying to pull in and stay engaged with their days.
For
So
sure. And I
that
think a
does.
big thing too is just active listening, like literally giving them your
Yes.
attention, not having your phone in your hand or, just being scatterbrained. Because I realize the moments where it's like I'll ask a question and then I'm doing several other things, my responses are going to be short.
Yep.
It's not going to be engaging because it's going to be like, well, she's not even giving me her full attention. Yeah, everything was fine. Nothing happened today, So I think just really giving them that time to really just be active. And like you said, if it's a short answer, everything was fine. Okay, well, tell me what happened in first
Yeah.
period. Okay, who'd you have lunch with today? Okay, what happened in, physics class to my older one? Or, asking my son, well, who's the line leader this week? Just things that I know that he's going to be excited to talk about and just,
Right.
meeting them where they're at because that's what it's all about. And I think finding ways to be more intentional with your words and not just leaving it open-ended, trying to be very specific because then you're more likely to get more of a specific response. So I'm
Absolutely.
and I'm still learning. By no means do I have this down. I am still trying my best every day, but I'm learning something new all the time about myself as a parent, about what's important to me, what's important to them, and it's just a beautiful journey.
Yeah. Yep. I feel you there. I feel you there. Well, I know you did mention already that you do try to, when time allows, to take individual time with each kid and do something, like mommy, son time, or maybe, you, hubby, and son, but just spending some time with them independently. So why do you feel something like this is important with, having multiple kids?
Yeah, I would say I think the dynamic is really important. With my oldest, with him being from a previous relationship, I really try to hone in on that because I come from a household where my mom had 5 kids and all 4 of them had the same, mother and father, and I was the
Mhm.
baby who didn't. And so just trying to have an inclusive environment where, you might not share the same parents as your siblings, but you are very much a part of this family.
Yes.
And so just trying to just be mindful of that and create opportunities for all of us to just be inclusive, as well as reminding them, hey, I'm still your mom, even though you got 2 other siblings. I know this is new to you, it's new to me. And then even with the whole middle child syndrome, everybody used to be like, okay,
Yeah,
your 5-year old's gonna have middle child syndrome. He's not gonna have a place. And I'm like, don't speak that over this baby.
exactly.
Like I'm going to be intentional about making sure that you do have that space because I don't want you to feel like, well, she's too consumed with this older one or she's too consumed with the younger one. Just making sure that they know that mommy is still here. And yes, as our family grows, as priorities change, I'm still very much here for you guys and I'm present. I want to be present. I want us to have a good relationship, good open communication. And so I think it's so important to just make that time. And it might not be consistent time, but I think just making sure that when you think about it, you act on it because
Yeah,
it's not always going to be top of mind. That's just being honest. We are busy. We got a million different things going on as moms or as parents in general. But when you think of it, it's like, okay, let me be intentional about that thought and execute on it. So I think it's priceless. They're only small for so long. So, you know.
tell me about it. Man, happens too fast. And then with what you just said, which I'm so glad that you brought that up because again, the what we put out as a society, I think is to me a little bit, I don't know if sickening is the word, but to me it really can make an impact on, you know, different households. So about the middle child, I've always heard that. Like, okay, you either need to have two or four, because if you have three, something's going to be off with that middle child. And it's like, even for, someone to have the audacity to come to you, and kind of speak that upon your family. My last episode, that's one thing I talked about, is just, us being a little bit more cautious with what we're putting out there, what we're saying to other people, because you never know how that will affect them. You never know how it has affected them already, like growing up. And so I'm going to say that again. Please watch what you're saying to people. You have to be mindful, whether you feel like you're helping or not. Again, that's your opinion, and some opinions are okay to keep to yourself. I'm just saying.
Absolutely right. You can't project that negative commentary on other people because that might have been your experience or you might have known someone to experience that. And I'm really big on you tell me what you think and I'm going to show you that that's not
I
what it
know that's
is.
right.
So, yeah, just rejecting things like that or just being more mindful. And sometimes, even though people might not be ill-intended, ill-intentional with their words, just making a conscious effort to be like, I'm going to make sure that that's not the case. I'm going to hone
Exactly.
in, I'm going to lean into that and make sure that I'm aware of that because maybe it wasn't something I wasn't thinking of before somebody mentioned it, but
Right.
just by you putting it out there is now going to be, something that's top of mind just for that reason.
Yeah. That's real. That's real. So my last question, of course we have mothers, as we have parents that tune in. And so what are some recommendations that you would share, for a mom who is about to have her second child, and having a hard time, or, again, as a family, that's having a little challenge of the thoughts of what's about to happen when adding more kids to their circle. What are some recommendations that you can provide for having that healthy balance?
Yeah, I think it's very natural to just have some sort of feelings about it, right? Whether it's anxiety, it's nervousness, like we don't know what to expect, right? Until it happens. So I think I had a lot of nerves and then things were settled by the time,
Mhm.
the second one and the multiples come.
Yeah.
I think with the third one, I was extremely excited to see how a 5-year-old would interact with his brother. So I think that it doesn't always have to be negative, right? You can
Hmm.
lean into the things that are going to be exciting. Um, and so I would just say, feel how you feel, embrace all of those feelings because it's natural and it's normal to feel some type of way, but give yourself some grace. If you
Mm-hmm.
can do it with one, you will adapt and do it with multiple. It is just normal. Somehow we just figure it out, right? Like
Yeah.
it just always works. So don't be so concerned about every little thing. It will all come together. I always like to think about a time where something was really difficult and it's like you look back and it's like I got through that.
Yeah.
You will get through multiple children, I promise you. Um, but I would just say, just be intentional. Make sure that you do carve out those moments for, a collaborative family time as well as some individual time. Um, because it's necessary. It's very necessary for everybody to feel special at different points in time. So anything that you can think of proactively or in the moment,
Mm.
definitely lean into those moments because I do think that they're necessary. Um, I think a big thing is finances, right? Like it's expensive to have multiple children. So I think as
Yeah.
much as you can plan for that, if it's daycare, if it's supplies, if it's calling in, the family, your circle of friends and family to help, in-laws, whatever it is, just kind of, making sure you have those things in place. I know with our 5-year-old or even our newest baby, when it's time to deliver, like having a plan to say, okay, this is where my kids are going to be in the event that I go into labor and it's not planned. So
Yeah.
just, planning ahead, I think is important. With COVID, it just, usually you can't have kids under a certain age in the delivery room with you. So just having some sort of plan like that in advance. But I would say, just enjoy it. It's gonna come and it's gonna be exciting. I'm really big on pictures, and so I love to,
Yes.
look at pictures of, the days when it was just me and my oldest, and then, days before the new baby, and then I'm looking forward to, just making more memories as things come. But I would say just lean into those feelings, be intentional, enjoy it, and yeah, yeah, you will get the. I think too what I've learned is, our parenting style changes over time, right? Things that I did with my oldest, maybe I'm like, okay, I might tweak that with the rest
Yeah.
of them. If it's, anything from diet to I said with my oldest, with my second, he's not gonna have a game system,
Mm.
And granted, he does have a game system, but just being more intentional with,
Yeah.
okay, we're gonna have some time restrictions because maybe the first one was, we didn't set those parameters or whatever it is, where it's just like, okay, I see what I did, and it's not that it's good or bad, but maybe you want to be more intentional with the second and the third and whoever to come, and just knowing that you have that option as a parent, you're
Yeah.
always ever evolving. So if there's something that you didn't do or that you wish you would have done, you have that opportunity to do as you have multiple. So
No,
just
that's
knowing
real.
that that's
That's
that.
real.
But
That's real.
but
See, that's
yeah.
why I brought her on, y'all. Do y'all hear these good tips? Like for real? Do y'all hear this? So
I
thank
hope
you,
this was
Mo, first
helpful.
and foremost, for taking out the time to be transparent and just allowing us to kind of see how it is, from your perspective of being a mom of multiple. So again, just thank you for that insight and just kind of going a little bit into your journey. Now, y'all know
Absolutely.
me. I love to research. So I did look up some information. According to thekidcounselor.com, they do provide a few ways to help balance time when you have more than one child. And some of these, interestingly, Mo has already touched on. So, one of them is, be sure to not neglect the older child. Okay. Um, Reason being is because many find it very easy to focus on your younger children because they require more and they expect more of you. So again, you have to find that balance and not neglect your older child. Okay. The second recommendation is to, consider each child's needs. Mo has already pointed that out. Being sure to, learn because, like she mentioned, opposites. It is very common that your kids will be opposites. But again, learning them, actively listening to them so that you can identify what their needs are, be able to engage with them, connect with them better when you are aware of these things. The third one is going to be, make a weekly log of one-on-one time with each kid. And if you get to the end of the week and there's a large discrepancy in time spent with the certain children, make a note to balance it better. So kind of like Mo was saying, as you continue to go, you may recognize different things that you can work on as a parent. So be okay with that. Again, give yourself grace, but also, it's nothing wrong with addressing that and making the necessary changes so that it is spread amongst all of your kids on a better level. And then the fourth one is going to be, plan a special activity once a month with only one child. You can call it mommy and daddy day, mommy and me day, daddy date day, whatever you want to call it, your kid's name, whatever y'all come up with. But the point is to, go somewhere special with your child, just you and that one child, and really invest in learning about the likes, dislikes, interests, opinions, and dreams of your kids when they don't have to compete for your attention. Again, like Mo pointed out, that one-on-one time is going to be vital. I was about to say necessary, it's vital, to
Hmm.
continue that relationship between you and your kids. And then the very last one, just keep in mind the goal isn't to be perfect. No one is perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. But to acknowledge when you can make those adjustments and note issues. Um, that can improve upon, that you can improve upon. There's no harm with addressing them. And again, just making those changes. So again, look, Mo could have just went ahead and did this whole article because she was on point with all of that, right?
I think the only thing I know we're running low on time, I would just slide this in is I think it's important to not compare your children to each other. They're all very much individuals, and even if they're the same sex, if you got all girls, boys, or whatever, they are all very much individuals,
Yes.
and they might have some similarities, but I've realized that comparison is really the thief of joy. Like,
Mm,
enjoy their differences, enjoy the things that bring them together, but try your best not to compare because, they're two different people, three different people, however many people, they are different. And
yeah.
just recognize that. I think that's important.
That's one of my big things. Do not compare. You wouldn't want yourself compared to anybody else. And so you treat your household that same way and not compare. So thank you for pointing that out, Mo. Really appreciate it. And again, I just want to thank you for again sharing your experience. Being a mom of multiples, it's a beautiful thing from what I'm seeing and just watching you do it, girl. And so again, I think that you've provided some very helpful tips when it comes to, how to engage when, having multiple kids. And so I just thank you for your time. And y'all know I'm not going to end without a quote of the day. So the quote of the day is going to come from Marian Garrity. And it's mother love is the fuel that enables a normal human being to do the impossible. So I think that fits right along with what we just talked about. I feel like Mo, you are that mother who is doing this, providing that fuel to your little ones, just so they see the world in a different light, that they know that there's nothing that's impossible for them to do because of that motherly love that they're getting from you, that nurturing spirit and that bond that they have with you individually. So again, kudos to you. But for everyone, that is our time for the day. I definitely want to thank all of our listeners for tuning in. I want to make sure that you remember to be sure to, subscribe, like, comment, share. This is helpful information. It could definitely help someone. And you never know who has been searching for learning a little bit more about this specific topic. So again, you sharing is caring. And so I do want you to be sure to tune in to the next episode, which will actually be my final episode of season 2. That came super quick. Season 2 seemed like it flew by. But we're going to be discussing these pandemic babies. If you know, you know. If you got one, you know. They're different, y'all. And so again, if you have one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But we're going to talk about those pandemic babies and how we love them so much, but how different they are as well. So until next time, I do want to make sure that you keep your head up, because keep in mind your little one is always watching you and admiring you. And then continue to take care of yourself. Give yourself grace. Continue to, strive for what it is that you're wanting to do. Be open and willing to make those flexible changes that may be needed. But just keep in mind, you are the super mom. And until next time, we look forward to seeing you on I'm the Mama podcast. Your girl, Ashley L. Continue to take care. See ya.